Okay, so on my own accord, I am making this video right here. This is actually the Breathedge review, so I'm just back instantly because I wanted to know what this was. You know what's crazy? I got, there's like, not Prey vibes, but I can't think. I got like a space version of Subnautica vibes. But we're back. I ended up finding out it's not free. So the expansion must have been free. So that's pretty cool. Free DLC. That's cool. More. It looked like it added more to the story because I think I've seen this game before, but I don't know where. So let's check out the review and let's see what IGN has to say.
Trapping you in a vast field of space wreckage with nothing more than an immortal chicken for company, Breathedge is a survival adventure game with an undeniably novel setup.
So
instead of punching trees, you'll navigate a zero-gravity environment in order to snag supplies, craft tools, and avoid suffocation. All while trying to uncover the twisting plot behind the crash of the largest space liner in history. Despite the fresh setting, you'll only get a taste of some rudimentary survival gameplay before a scripted story takes over and pulls you out of the survival mechanics entirely. The sense that another wondrous discovery is just around the corner is what drives games like this, and Breathedge just doesn't have it. Breathedge is desperate to please with its jokes, slapstick humor, and
what in the tribal music was that? What was that? That sounded clean as hell, but it sounded like we were going to summon the rain.
Goofy concepts like corpse-powered coffin robots. It's self-aware that it's a single-player, story-driven survival game, and makes references to tropes of the genre, including gags about shoehorned plot contrivances, artificially extended wait times, stale gameplay, and fetch quests. Unfortunately, Breathedge is guilty of the things it makes jokes about. It's full of the most tedious, repetitive kinds of survival game.
So it's just completely fucking ironic.
Cliches. Even when I was laughing, its awareness of these issues doesn't make them any less of a problem. And humor isn't a substitute for innovative gameplay.
Clearly.
It's fun to putter around in microgravity at first, bouncing off things and peeking behind asteroids. Many of the ruined...
Yeah, I could see where trying to play a survival game in space would be fucking annoying. Though Prey did it pretty well. But then wasn't Prey like some weird simulation thing going on?
Spaceships that make up its world and the environments within it are designed quite well, with new things to find often hidden nearby or enticingly placed in plain view across a distance you're not sure how to cross yet. The layout of the early survival areas is one of Breathedge's greatest strengths, feeling both very deliberately designed and like they could be real places. The problem is that everything you do is limited by your air supply, which is annoyingly short even when upgraded. Generally, I had frustratingly little time to explore and gather before I needed to retreat to an air supply, then tediously wait for my air to refill. And because you can't just go straight up to breathe like in Subnautica, this means you're constantly backtracking. You have to wait for crafting and research too. There's just so much killing time in this for a single-player game. That, and the all-too-short survival segments just aren't very deep. There's no meaningful base building, no automation to cut down on busy work, no upgraded gathering or rare resources. It's just a lot of clicking and hand crafting, offering what's essentially the most basic early gameplay of games like Subnautica, Empyrean, or Ark, without any of the fun that comes later. It even leans heavily on tropes like tool breakage, which is the worst kind of survival gameplay for my money. Breathedge seems to repeat all the simplest mistakes from games that came before.
Oh god. So right now it's just sounding completely ass. So maybe that update that I watched actually added a bit more depth to the game. Maybe they should go less for the survival and go straight into like a more story driven game, because first of all, not having what like the durability and stuff in this game, but then not having like you searching for rare resources to upgrade stuff, that's a bit sus. That's a little bit sus, but I mean, maybe they think it works out. Maybe there's people that actually enjoy the game. Like I always say, you know, you're gonna find enjoyment in anything, you really do. So, you know, or like you kind of take it for what it is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I can't save this game. I'm sorry. It's sounding really fucking boring. I'm trying to save this game as best as I can.
After about 15 hours of that bare-bones survival gameplay, Breathedge abruptly switches genres to become a linear adventure game. Or, perhaps more accurately, since there are no real puzzles, a straight-line walking simulator.
Dude, this review it seems like one of the more honest reviews I've heard on IGN, or he's just straight up just kind of shitting on this.
Except, sometimes you have to backtrack to a crafting station.
Also, why is there just a brick?
Because your tool broke. That's right. The last 10 hours of a survival game that took me 25 hours to complete.
Tomb Raider? Yo, low-key, I looked at the guy and my head just translated that to Tomb Raider.
Aren't a survival game at all. Arguably, that's a good thing, because Breathedge's survival elements never evolve beyond the basics, but what comes after is worse.
That's not really that good.
Instead of discovery, the second half relies entirely on a story to drive you forward. You move through a space station, craft 1 or 2 things from parts lying directly around you, and install them. Then you fly to the next bit and do it again, all while being barraged by jokes. It's little more than a long, interactive cutscene. It's a shame.
He said a long, interactive cutscene.
Because I wanted to like things about Breathedge. A lot of love went into the whimsical yet grim Soviet retrofuturism of its visual design, and enjoying its spooky stations, propaganda murals, or fictional pop culture is one of the best parts.
It doesn't really look like that. It doesn't look like the stuff is really spooky. It kind of looks like a space age Deathloop.
Sometimes,
if it was Deathloop in space or Deathloop the DLC,
the jokes do land, like the mini slapstick death poses you find other passengers in, the sci-fi parodies, or the silly tool designs. Riding a vacuum cleaner like a rocket motorcycle? That's funny. But for every joke that hits, more land flat.
It will be a long day.
Your spacesuit's AI
I felt that one.
Directs you around while constantly quipping, but the high-speed delivery gets obnoxious fast, and the suit's jokes are mostly terrible. Adding insult to injury, if you die, you get to hear all those same lines again the next time through. When that joke is a fourth wall-breaking meta-commentary about game developers making things hard or tedious to pad out the total gameplay time, it starts to feel less like a referential goof and more like an annoying lack of self-awareness.
A detailed plan of the service module. If you find the missing information, you can create such a module yourself. Who knows for what purpose?
Breathedge may launch survival games into the final frontier, but it brings some of the worst tropes of the genre along with it, before abandoning the genre entirely in favor of a linear story propelled by hit and miss humor. It's all style over substance, looking great on the surface without much of interest or sense of progression underneath that polish.
Yep.
With the active exploration hampered by an obnoxious oxygen system and crafting that never advances beyond the most basic mechanics, it relies too heavily on the initial novelty.
5, he hit the mediocre. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I feel like he had to give it a 5 because to, be generous, and there's a lot of work to put into it. And of course, I'm not a game developer, so I don't want to get the Breathedge people on my neck and be like, delete your video, take it down, I don't like it. But what I want to say is that this game actually seems a little bit less than a 5. Because you can make a game look really great on the outside, but we've been doing survival games for years. Like I said, again, I always bring up nothing new under the sun, but when you actually take that into account with the game design, survival games have kind of been mastered. It's kind of like headphones and mice. They kind of figured out and broken down all the technology in a mouse that you really can't get a more intense mouse. You know what I'm saying? Like when you think about graphics in games, they try to push it as far as they go. 4K, 8K, 9K, 10K, 11K, 21K. Like they're trying to go so hard with it. But with a mouse, you can't really, yes, you got the wireless headphones and stuff, but you can't go any further than that. Maybe increase the wireless connection at the cost of brain cells because of the melting that was probably coming from the Wi-Fi. But at the same time, it's okay. There's nothing much you can do. It's a pristine. There's pristine mice now, mouse eye. But at the same time, I think about this game, and I'm just like, if you're like a survival game, just try when you do your game, literally keep your guys' idea, cool it's in space, a lot of fun, but add more fun to it. So when he said there's no crafting past the, when he said there was no no crafting past the, or like no, God, me trying to remember his words is just stupid. But like at the point, like there's no advanced crafting past the basics. Like hopefully that update I had really just, maybe added more interesting stuff. But if it was just like a kind of like story DLC, then I doubt that. I don't want to say that. But what I will say is, yeah, to me, it's bad. We've like, not me personally, but we've come a long way for survival games. If like, I feel like you want to make a really good, like, I don't want to say a really good game. Maybe they intended to do it like that because they were trying to do more story. They couldn't make up their mind, Like I said, there could be so many reasons why. But at the same time, there's so, like, people know the mechanics they like, and people that know the mechanics they don't like, right? It's already all figured out. What mechanics in a survival game make it annoying and which make it good. So now we just need a game that can slap all the good together and then have some bad. But slap all the good that is already figured out together, and then we start experimenting with what can we add that may piss the player off, right? It's a win-win because you're adding everything good. And then, but if this is actually a game, because I don't know yet, I haven't really seen, I just seen the price of the game on Steam, is that this is, if it was like labeled hardcore or maybe harder, so like then it's like, okay, the annoying survival things are going to be in this game, so you have to work for it, sort of. But I don't know anymore. At the end of the day, I kind of say take it for what it is. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. You already know what to do. You already know the name.